I know you had in recent days was with the Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, who just went through a similar thing, except this was at a school that happened in Nashville where children were killed, 3 children, 3 adults. What is a conversation between 2 governors who have just experienced these mass shootings, both lost friends in them? What's that conversation even like?
So Bill and I have gotten to know each other a little bit. First in an effort to combat human trafficking that John Bel Edwards brought us and our spouses together on. And then I called him for help after our flooding. We needed more helicopters with hoists to save people during the flooding, and he sent them at a moment's notice. And then he lost one of those pilots. You could hear the pain in his voice, just like I think people can in mine. So it hurts that I lost a friend. I'm sure it hurts Marianne a whole lot more that she lost her husband, or their daughters that they lost a father. Now in terms of loss, I'm a close friend, but I really want to be there for the families and the kids.
I can see that. Going back to Governor Lee, one thing that he did after was he signed an executive order to strengthen background checks. He's calling on lawmakers in his state to pass essentially the equivalent of a red flag law. Do you see yourself taking a similar step here following what happened just a few steps away?
So I haven't read his executive order yet, but in the past I've been very clear that I believe we can respect and honor people's Second Amendment rights to protect themselves and their family, but at the same time, at least take a step so that we can intervene when we know somebody's about to go out and murder a whole bunch of people. You know, a red flag law involves the court system. It ensures that everybody's rights are protected, that evidence is heard. It has every check on it that we could ask for. But at least it lets us stop that next individual, at least when we know, before they murder people. And listen, I know people will say that wouldn't have stopped this situation, and it probably wouldn't have. Maybe it will the next one. I don't want another family to go through this.
You've been calling for a red flag law for a while now. Do you think one can get passed here? You know the state really well.
We'll certainly have those conversations. I don't want to give anybody false hope, but I'm going to continue. Maybe I can share even my perspective on what it's like having a friend murdered. And again, this protects everybody's Second Amendment rights. It absolutely does. But at the same time, I mean, I'd like to think Democrats and Republicans, red or blue, anybody on the ideology can come together and say, if we know somebody is right on that brink of going out and committing a horrendous action, don't you think we should be able to take action? I don't even think that's political. Right? I just think that that's the right thing to be able to do in that circumstance, and I hope we can all agree on that.
One thing that has been brought to the forefront as people have talked about what's happened here in Kentucky is 2 weeks before the shooting, Kentucky passed what is called as the Second Amendment sanctuary, making the state a Second Amendment sanctuary. It came to your desk. You didn't sign it. You didn't veto it. Do you wish you had vetoed it?
And my friends wouldn't be alive. My friend wouldn't be alive whether I vetoed it or didn't. And so in this circumstance, I feel the personal loss. You know, the bill isn't constitutional. We all know that. We all know what federal preemption is.
Do you think it'll get struck down?
If challenged, yes.
If challenged, that's a key part of that. You talked about mental health, or you mentioned that earlier. We heard the 911 call from the shooter's mom, and they've put out a statement from the family saying that Connor, like many of his contemporaries, had mental health challenges that they were actively addressing, but they say there are no warning signs, no indications based on their statement. What needs to be done, do you think, to people who do have these challenges?
I think there is a recognition out there that we have to do more, and not just in these circumstances, but in our everyday. I've got 2 middle schoolers. It is so much harder to be a kid with social media right now, and it breaks my heart to watch what they and their friends go through. And so while we have the laws, we're not seeing them utilized in that right way. Certainly, we've made some real strides putting the 988 hotline in so people can actually call someone ready and trained to deal with mental health. But we also got to break down the stigma. It's okay to not be okay. I'm not okay right now. And a lot of us aren't going to be okay for a while. And I believe when we talk about mental health, we always try to talk about that last moment or this individual. We got to start in our everyday lives. All right, we got to start making sure that people are getting help as they're dealing with things long before it reaches this point, because we always try to rewind time and figure out when we could have stepped in. Well,
Yeah.
I think the answer ought to be as early as possible.
The mayor of Louisville, Mayor Greenberg, had this plea that basically they wanted the city to be able to make their own decisions when it comes to firearms, when it comes to regulation, outside of just what the state decides. Do you see that as something that'll actually happen?
I don't know of any city in Kentucky, or really I don't know about cities in other states. I haven't seen that before in Kentucky. Would certainly be a challenge on the enforcement, but listen, Louisville's hurting. We need to listen to what they propose. It doesn't mean that ultimately people go forward with it or not, but to at least have a conversation and not yell at each other, right? It's going to sound really simple. I just wish we'd show a little more love and a lot less of the hate or the anger or the disagreement. We need to, after the worst of the worst, whether it's online or in person, people are dead. Be nice to each other. It's not hard. It certainly makes you feel better than being angry with somebody. And we can't go on with trying to appeal to anger and appeal to hate, whether it's in our politics or in our online activity. We're taught as kids to show love and kindness. We're taught in church to show love and kindness. It doesn't have to be that complicated.
Governor, I know this is a tough time for you. We are really grateful for your time right now. Thank you.
Thanks for telling Tommy and Deanna and Josh and Juliana and Jim's story.
We will, and we'll continue to.